Hello, welcome to this video. We'll be trying to implement the AAA security architecture using a virtualization technology. We will use Oracle VM VirtualBox to create two virtual machines. One will be a Windows server, the other will be a Windows client. We will install ADDS and VPN services on the Windows server, and we will connect the client to it via LAN. On the Windows server, we will also create two users and assign them various levels of roles to access a certain folder. This will be demonstrated when we try to access that particular folder from the client onto the server. We are going to start off by launching Oracle VM VirtualBox. Over here you can see that I already have created two virtual machines. One is the server and one is the client. We can see that I have allocated 1 GB of RAM and 2 CPU cores. Over to the network tab, the first adapter is a host only adapter, and then the second adapter is a bridge adapter. These settings apply for both of the VMs I've created. Now let's launch the server and see what we have configured. I've already gone through the installation process to save time. You can press right Ctrl and delete to go into the login menu. In this case, I have one administrator account set up. When you open up this server for the first time, you will see the dashboard for the server that has been created. Right now we have nothing set up. The first thing we can do is disable the firewall. Right now you can see that the Windows firewall public is set to on. If you click on this, you will be taken to another window, and over here you can click on turn Windows firewall on or off and then disable both of the firewalls here. Then we are going to check out the adapters that we created and try to configure them with static IPv4 addresses. Here you can see the two adapters. You can click on it and then go to details to see the stuff. Over here we can see that the DNS server has not given any IP address, meaning that is the LAN. For the other one, there is a DNS server and we also have a default gateway, so that would be our WAN. We can rename this for simplicity's sake so we don't confuse them later on. Now that we have that done, we can go and configure the static IP addresses. You can go click on LAN, and then over here we can assign 10.0.0.10, and then clicking on the subnet will automatically give it a value. Then you can just confirm and close the tabs. Now that we have configured everything, we can go ahead and rename our PC. By clicking on the workgroup button, you will be taken to the PC settings. Here we will rename our PC. After renaming, we will be required to restart the machine. After doing so, we will be able to set up our domain. After the reset has been done, you can manage and add features. Over here, just go through everything by clicking next until the options are given to add features. Over here we will look for Active Directory domain services. Click on it and then click on add feature. This will install the ADDS. Now click on next. Just go through the wizard, enable restart, and then finally install. After the installation has been completed, we will be taken through a setup wizard. To set up a domain, after the installation we'll have to click on promote this server to a domain controller. Over here we want to select create new forest, as this is a new domain we want to create, and we will assign a domain. After we have chosen a domain, we can just continue with the setup. After the setup has been completed, we will be required to restart the machine again. We will now create two users and then give them roles. After clicking on tools, we will have to select Active Directory, users and computers. Over here we can click into our domain, go to the users folder, and then right click, choose new, and then user. For the purposes of this demonstration, I will be creating user accounts for my other two assignment partners. Now that our user accounts have been created, let's try to add a folder onto our server and then access them via our client. We will now go and configure our client just like we did our server. In this case, I have already gone through the installation process. We can log in here with the default user that I had created just to set everything up. The first thing we will do is assign the static IP address. Same as the server, click on the network icon and then choose the bottom option. Over here we can change network adapter settings, and then we will see which IP addresses have been assigned. In this case, we don't have the DNS server or default gateway on Ethernet, but Ethernet 2 has the DNS server and default gateway address. This means that is our actual internet connection. We will rename it to WAN and then the other to LAN. After we are done renaming, we can go back and then assign the static address. We will click on LAN and then properties. We will choose IPv4. Over here we will assign a IP address one higher than the server, so 10.0.0.11. One important thing to note is that our DNS server will have to point to the IP address of the server machine. So if we go to the command prompt and then check our IP, it is 10.0.0.10, which is what we had said before. So we have to direct our DNS server to the IP address of our host. Then just click on OK and confirm settings. Now we will be trying to disable firewall on the client. You can press on Windows S to bring up the search and then search for firewall here, and then click on Windows Firewall. Just as with the server, we will have to disable both the firewall options on the client. Now that we have set up our IP address and disabled VPN, we can go and change our computer name. After doing so, we will try to connect to our domain on the server. So after changing the name, we will have to restart the PC, and then we can go back to where we were and then connect to the domain. Over here we do not have to enter the .local part, just the beginning part. And then for the username and password, we can just log in using our root credentials. And then after the process has finished, you can see that we have successfully joined the domain. If we go back to our server machine and then go to tools and then Active Directory computers and users, if you click on the domain of the server and then go to computers, you will be able to see our client that we just connected with. On the client PC, I have logged out of the default user I had in the beginning and then logged in using the credentials we set for my other two assignment members. On the server, we are going to create a folder called cloud. Inside this, we are going to create a file called cloud. After we have created this, we will right click on the folder and then go to properties, and then we will go to sharing. After we are here, we will click on share and then search for our team member names. In this case, I'll go ahead and search for my other assignment members and then add them. Over here, we will also assign the access they have to the folder. After doing so, we will have to go to the advanced settings and then re-add the users that we just added, and then we can assign the roles again here. Typically, if I were to access the folder whilst using a default account on the client PC, I would have to provide credentials when trying to open it. But in this case, I'm not using the default user, and then I logged in using the accounts for my other assignment members, so we won't have to log in when opening the files. In this case, my first team member had full access, so we can see that we are editing the file on the client PC. If we go back to the server and check the same file, we will see that it is edited. We can also edit it on the server and then cross check on our client PC. It works fine here too. Now we will try to log in with our other assignment members account. This account only had read access. When we try to edit the file and save it, you will see that we encounter issues because the user does not have privileges. We will go back to our server now and then try to enable VPN services. The steps are similar to the ADDS. We will go to manage and then add features. We will click through the menus until we get to the selection screen. Now that we have created our two users, we will try to create a folder on the server and then share it to our users. After the installation has been done, you can click on open the getting started wizard. Over here, we will be given three options. We will just choose deploy VPN only for simplicity's sake. Over here you can see that the icon is red. This indicates our VPN is not ready yet or running yet. We will have to configure this by right clicking and then click on configure and enable. Over here we will be taken through the options. Nothing much to change. Click on VPN here. Over here you can see the two adapters we had created. We will be using the IP address of the WAN to connect. In the next step, we will be able to set up what the IP addresses of our clients will be. We will assign the starting range from 10.0.0 to 20 up to 10.0.0.30. After this is done, our VPN will be up and running. As you can see, the icon has now gone green. This indicates we have successfully set up our VPN on the server machine. We will now try to connect to it using our client machine. Before we try to connect, we will create a special user just to test the VPN services. As before, we will go to the manage computers and users and we'll create a new user. We will give it a generic name like VPN user and then give it a password as well. After we have created the user, we can go back to our client machine. To enable our VPN on the client, we can click on the network icon. In the internet address section, we will be required to enter the IP address of the WAN of our server. After we enter the IP address, we can click on create. After this, we will be able to see the network in our network list when we go to change adapter settings. Over here, we have the LAN and WAN from before, and then we also have the newly created VPN. To enable it, we will go to the network icon again, and then we will try to add a new network. But over here, instead of adding, we will just choose the one we created. We will be required to connect to it using a username and password. Over here, we will enter the VPN user as the username and then give it the password we had created. This will then try to connect to the VPN, and then we have successfully connected to the VPN. If we go back to the server machine, if we go to remote access clients, we will be able to see this client that we just had logged in with. Looking at the IP address, it is in the range of what we had allocated before. With that, we have set up VPN and ADDS. Now that we have set up our VPN connection, you can see that we are connected here. I've logged out of the user we were using before, and now I'm logged in as the VPN user. We will go to cloud and check our sharing settings. You will see that the VPN user has also been added here with read and write access. If we go back to the client and open the cloud folder, we should be able to edit it like we did with our other assignment partners. This shows how you can edit the cloud folder whilst being connected through the VPN.